Hello, I'm Glenn McGuinness, and welcome to Outburst. This week, as we prepare to celebrate our nation's 151st birthday, we explore what it means to be Canadian around the world and here at home.
I think we're making some huge strides in the right direction in terms of inclusivity for all people.
I've traveled a lot, and then I find that very distinctive in Canadians, that they want to be intentionally, they want to be good.
Everything what our country represents, the freedom we have, and just seeing what other countries are going through, it does make you feel proud.
For taking in refugees and trying to help people that need help.
You can be Ukrainian, you could be Indian, you could be English. It's all about being diverse and being accepting of everyone and all religions.
And in some places you can't have those freedoms in speaking your truth.
Yeah, this is really a good place to live, and that's why we came here, right?
For most of us, to be Canadian evokes many thoughts and feelings about national pride, a way of life, and a country that is bountiful in natural wonders. We're known for our good nature and for saying sorry when actually we didn't do anything wrong at all. And practically anywhere in the world, if you're wearing the Canadian flag, you'll be welcomed with open arms.
I'm Irish and I'm Canadian, and I think it gives you another perspective about culture, about diversity, about inclusion, about taking chances and trying new things. And I guess I consider it a privilege, really.
We're very lucky. She jumped ship though and moved to London.
I don't live here anymore,
She's
but it makes
Canadian,
you.
though, at
but
heart.
when you travel, it makes you appreciate Canada so much more. So I always love coming home, and people are just so friendly here, and yeah, it's home.
This week we'll be sharing lots of those good thoughts and feelings, plus a special round of trivia. We'll also take you to Toronto to show you how some new Canadian citizens will be embracing their new country.
I live in Russia, I live in Ukraine, I live in many countries that speak a lot of language, but compared to any other ones, Canada is for you to discover. So you guys take a chance and make good of the opportunity you have here, because it's not guaranteed you can have that opportunity anywhere else in the world.
We come here because, we know it's a place where equality, where freedom of speech, where freedom of religion, they're sacred and they're respected.
And to Alberta, where old resentments are causing some to revisit Western separation.
It's just a different philosophy in Alberta. People go to work and they work long, hard hours and make big money. But there's a sacrifice for it. They're sacrificing their life.
The reason why Albertans make more money is because we produce a commodity that's in high demand. It's just that simple. And people work damn hard for that money.
Alberta, British Columbia, the ones that have been paying for the most part, are going to be paying not just billions of dollars like they've done, but they're going to be paying trillions of dollars.
But first, our big question. What does it mean to be Canadian?
It's fabulous. We're very lucky. She jumped ship though and moved to London.
I don't live here anymore,
but it makes
Canadian,
though, at
heart.
When
you travel, it makes you appreciate Canada so much more. So I always love coming home, and people are just so friendly here, and yeah, it's home.
I'm Irish by birth, I'm Canadian by choice.
Being Canadian truly is being Cree-Indian. Yeah, or native, period.
We all kind of work together to try to make our country the best place that we can. We try to help people, especially in other countries, refugees. I'm really proud of Canada for taking in refugees and trying to help people that need help, that could benefit from being here.
Yeah, this is really a good place to live, and that's why we came here, right?
It's a mixture of all the nationalities combined. Like, you can be Ukrainian, you could be Indian, you could be English. It's all about being diverse and being accepting of everyone and all religions, and seeing how all of these different identities can come together and work together in harmony. And I think that sets up Canada as an example for nations that aren't as accepting of different nationalities and different religions.
We went on Europe trips for high school, and I take pride in that everyone was pretty accepting and being like, oh, you're Canadian, you know? That's pretty cool.
Oh, I'm going to get emotional with this question. So I came to Canada when I was almost 3 years old, and it's opened up so many opportunities for myself and for my family, and it's just been probably one of the best decisions that my parents made was immigrating to Canada. It's amazing to live in a culture with so many different kinds of people, different religious backgrounds, and knowing that if we all work hard and you throw in some kindness, that you can do really well here.
I'm going to follow up with her. Being a child of immigrant parents, I've actually gone abroad and I've lived abroad, and I've missed Canada. And the biggest reason I missed Canada was diversity. I missed seeing other cultures. I missed eating different foods. I missed having conversations about all different spectrums, from politics to religion. And in some places you can't have those freedoms in speaking your truth. And that was one of the aspects that drove me to come back and to live here.
Everything what our country represents, the freedom we have, and just seeing what other countries are going through, it does make you feel proud to be part of Canada and a Canadian citizen.
I feel blessed to have all this nature around me. I've been to a lot of places in the world, and Canada by far has some of the most beautiful nature I've seen. So I feel like it's very earth-like in that sense, and I feel really appreciative to have that kind of beauty around me.
I feel coming here, and we're recent arrivals. We arrived about 10 months ago. So to me, the thing that struck me was this nation is a group of people who wants to be good. I mean, that's my personal feeling. Just overall, the people we've met are wonderful. And I've traveled a lot, and then I find that very distinctive in Canadians, that they want to be intentionally, they want to be good.
When we talk about what it means to be Canadian, that's a constantly changing thing that changes with every new citizen who comes here, who joins us, and who contributes their story to the story of our entire country.
I'm Molly Thomas here outside the Aga Museum in Toronto. We are about to witness 50 new Canadians take their first citizenship oath, saying, hey, we are a part of this country. And not only that, we get to learn about their very different journeys about how they got here.
When you move to a new place, some of us didn't know anyone here, so it was challenging, but at the same time, it's beautiful, when you get to know people, when you see, the support in the community, when you get, to know other people, other culture, the fabric of Canada is amazing.
What's really special about today's ceremony is that they had a chance for an hour beforehand to actually share their stories of how they got to where they are today, on the cusp of becoming Canadian citizens. This isn't something that all new Canadian citizens have the chance to do. We take 75 of the government's 3,000 citizenship ceremonies every year, and we enhance them. And part of the way that we enhance them is we have these roundtable discussions. So we take these new citizens and we ask them, what does Canadian citizenship mean to you?
We gain the right to vote, to join a greater cultural diversity, and also means we don't need to renew our immigration documents.
I'm Julie, I'm from Ireland. I'm sitting at table 6 with, there's 4 of us becoming citizens today. And it's kind of ironic, we're all here 9 years together. And we already felt we're Canadian, citizens, although today is just formalising that. That's the type of country Canada is. It really makes you feel at home.
So we are with Martina and Marwan, who are brand new Canadian citizens today. Both people have been in Canada for 5 years, from Slovakia, from Lebanon. Let's start with you, Martina. You're wearing Canadian red. Yay! How are you feeling?
Great. This is absolutely fantastic day. I've been waiting for this for last 5 years, and I'm very happy. I wanted to come to the country where I can have a really good life and a good life balance, and I found it, so I'm extremely happy.
Marwan, you're from Lebanon, and you talked a little bit about the fabric of Canadian society impacting your life. I mean, what does that mean to you?
I think most of us, we come to Canada, looking for opportunities, but as well, we We come here because, we know it's a place where equality, where freedom of speech, where freedom of religion, they're sacred and they're respected, and it's very, very important. And it's, for me, it's maybe one of the reasons, the main reasons, that they kind of pushed me to move to Canada and to pick Canada, to be my home now. It's a place where, yes, I talked about, the fabric of the culture of the Canadian society. That's the beauty about Canada. Like, most of us, we come from different backgrounds, and here together, you get to know different cultures. You get to know, the background of people. You get to know about their heritage, about their culture, and as well, here in Canada, embracing and knowing more about the indigenous people. The way, they're welcoming, the way Canada is welcoming, for all of us. So again, I say it's a very, very important day for me. And I've been waiting it not only for the last 5 years, but for the last 12 years since the day I applied for my immigration visa to Canada.
Yeah.
So in total, it's 12 years.
We are with 10-year-old Rohan Khan, who just became a Canadian citizen. Whole family became a Canadian citizen. Yes. How are you feeling today?
I feel great because my mom and my dad and my sister, they all have it, and I have 2 siblings. I have 3 siblings, and 2 of them are Canadian because they were born in Canada. So I feel happy for my mom and my dad and my sister because they're Canadian, so now we're all a family of Canadians.
Everybody's Canadian, that's amazing.
Canada is a patchwork of cultures from coast to coast. But when it comes to food, what is our defining dish? Our question: what is the quintessential Canadian cuisine?
Well, being a French Canadian from Montreal, I'd say poutine, right? And the good old pâté chinois as well. And yeah, that's pretty much, that's what it is.
Pâté chinois. Yeah, pâté chinois is a fun one.
Obviously poutine, even though it's made in Quebec, but it's everywhere around Canada. Like, if you go to another country, they don't have that. It's only here.
I think it's the queue de castor. Like, I love it. Yeah, I love it. Queue de castor. Mwah.
Hot dogs and French fries and relish moutarde.
Tim Hortons. That's what I think. I don't know. I can't think of anything else. Probably maple syrup and a cup of Timmy's.
Anything you could put maple syrup on. So bacon or pancakes or something along those lines, probably.
I guess that depends what province you're in. Seafood, maybe? Yeah. Salmon?
Why do you say that?
I'm from New Brunswick, so I'm used to eating a lot of seafood.
I'd say maritime would probably be like seafood or something like that, but all of Canada, it's probably maple syrup.
Ooh, I don't know. Beer?
Well, I hear in PEI it's potatoes, but that's as much as I know.
Barbecue of any kind, I guess. I don't know. At this time of year, there's a lot of them fired up around the neighborhood. I know that. I can smell them in the evenings.
For me, at least, it's steak and chips, because that's something that I like. And for PEI, I think it's always salmon, something to do with salmon.
Probably steak, and novelty items, definitely the donuts.
No, it's seafood. Atlantic Canada, anyway. Seafood.
Why seafood?
Well, it's our culture. You can smell the ocean from where we're standing right now. It's fresh. It's delicious. It's nutritious. It's all good.
Lobster, mussels, maybe.
Okay.
For me, it is anyway, because I grew up all my life next to the shore. It's one of the reasons I come here, because it's fresh. There's lobsters about 30 meters off the back of my house.
Which former Canadian Prime Minister is also known as the father of the United Nations forces? John Diefenbaker, Lester B. Pearson, Pierre Trudeau.
Pearson.
Diefenbaker. Pierre Trudeau.
Trudeau.
You know what? You got to do better than that. It's so easy. Lester B. Pearson.
Diefenbaker? Sure. Good to go. I'm Diefenbaker, yep. Pearson?
It is Pearson.
Okay, good.
Prime Minister Lester B. Pearson is known as the father of the United Nations forces. In 1956, Israel, Great Britain, and France invaded Egypt to remove its president Gamal Abdel Nasser and regain control of the Suez Canal. The Soviet Union, which was friendly with Nasser, threatened to launch nuclear weapons on the West if France and Great Britain didn't withdraw. It was known as the Suez Crisis. Lester B. Pearson, Canada's Secretary of State for External Affairs, persuaded the UN to send an emergency force to establish peace in Egypt. This act earned Pearson the 1957 Nobel Peace Prize. He was the first Canadian to receive one, and since then has been known as the father of the United Nations forces. From pipelines to peacekeeping, from backpacks to branding, Canada's role around the world is intimately tied to our sense of identity, and we wanted to see what people think about Canada's influence in international affairs. Our question: what is Canada's role in the world?
You play a big role in the sort of moderating what the United States does. And whatever position we might have, just sort of being like, okay, we're going to be the more mature sibling and talk about this a bit more reasonably. That's at least my perspective.
I like Canada's role. I
Why?
think we do okay because we're Canadian. We like to think positive, and we're actually very vocal about it.
Canada is a good example in a lot of things related to international affairs. We have some work to do in others, but I think people look to us as an example of a country that's doing a lot of things well.
I think we do make an impact. I think there's more things that we can look into, and different trade partners and agreements we can look at a little bit more, but I think that we do make an impact on the international front.
Okay, sir. No, I think that we make a good effort, but I think we end up playing more of a mediator role a lot of the times because we don't really we kind of lack the military power that a country like the United States would have, or China or whatnot. But I think that the will is always pretty good from Canada. We just don't have the ability to be much more powerful than we could be.
I think we have a positive influence on the international scene, and I think we do a good job. I think we come across as a very effective and proactive country, so I think it's good.
I think ever since Trump has taken office, I mean, Canada's always kind of had a backseat as far as global affairs compared to our neighbors down in the States. But I think now that the U.S. kind of seizes all the headlines, I think even more Canada is kind of taking a backseat in as far as global politics and global affairs goes.
I think that we are abiding as a country as far as international affairs go. I mean, that's a real shift from pipelines and resource development internally. But I think that our role has always been and continues to be one of keeping the world peacemakers. And I think that it's important that we are contributing to the overall global health of the world and making sure that people have housing and blankets and things like that. I think that it's important that we continue to participate in the global economic system, because you can't just start withdrawing commodities that other countries depend on just overnight.
We're on Parliament Hill asking Canadians what 4 provinces made up the Dominion of Canada in 1867.
British Columbia, Quebec, Ontario, and Alberta.
Ontario, Newfoundland, Quebec, British Columbia. No, did you say that? What?
Quebec, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta.
I don't know. I'll say Nova Scotia, Ontario, Quebec, and I'll add Newfoundland in there.
Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Ontario.
Absolutely correct, sir. Let's have a handshake.
Yeah, thank you.
On March 29, 1867, Queen Victoria granted royal assent to the British North America Act, which made Canada a self-governing confederation. On July 1st of that year, the provinces of New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Upper Canada, now known as Ontario, and Lower Canada, now known as Quebec, were proclaimed the Dominion of Canada. Eventually, support for Confederation spread throughout the former British colony. Manitoba and Northwest Territories joined in 1870, British Columbia in 1871, PEI in 1873, Yukon Territory in 1898, and Alberta and Saskatchewan in 1905. Newfoundland joined Canada in 1949, and 50 years later the territory of Nunavut was created in 1999.
I'm Jen Gersten in Calgary, where old resentments are causing some to revisit an age-old question.
I can remember the exact moment I became a separatist, and that was in 1980 during the National Energy Policy.
This is Bob Lafergie. Here on his bucolic farm just outside Calgary, he carries a list of grievances piled sky high.
When was the last time anybody in the province ever had a say in a federal election? You know, it's always over by the time you get there. The seats as well were pretty much gerrymandered, and you have your equalization, formulas, your all-out attack by environmental groups, that are infiltrating every level of government in a direct attack against Alberta.
Here in Alberta's largest city, this journalist turned politician turned journalist has heard it all before. Danielle Smith hosts a daily radio call-in show on News Talk 770.
Until we get the federal government out of business, I think what we need to do is have the provinces need to run autonomously, run our own business, get rid of this transfer payment scheme that is the same as a welfare scheme.
403-974-8255. Stay with us. We're talking Western separation, but also Western alienation. What's behind it? What do we do to fix it? Stay with us on 770 CHQR. All he wants is a little bit of appreciation. Yeah. Why do they hate us so much? Why don't they just appreciate what they do? Why don't they realize that we work hard for what we have? Because I think everything is rooted in you've got more than we do, therefore we're going to take it from you so we can redistribute it to something else.
So yes, there is anger in Alberta today, but the question now is whether or not this long simmering public resentment can actually coalesce into a viable political movement. Even its advocates are pretty skeptical.
Getting on the ground and talking to people directly, you get sympathy at the door, but it was like, I really understand where you're going, I support you, but I won't vote for you. When it actually comes to a vote, people do not want to go. It's no coincidence when we've seen whether it was the 80s with the first Trudeau or in the 90s with Chrétien and nowadays with Trudeau Part 2, these cycles come whenever there's a Liberal government in, and Canada's a two-party system essentially. We'll get a Conservative government maybe in 4 years, maybe 6, maybe 2, who knows, but things will calm down a bit at that point too. Even if nothing else will change, that's some of the frustration with the real separatists. It doesn't matter which government's in, they're not going to put Alberta on the top of the priority list, but it'll be eased, that's for sure. The pipeline will help, but there's a number of other issues, so we'll see.
There's the illusion of what Canada is versus the reality of what Canada is, and that illusion is very, very strong for a lot of people. Like one old-time separatist told me, he says, we're not so much separatists as realists.
On this season of Outburst, we explored the state of Canada through truth and reconciliation, pipelines, and even artificial intelligence. The world is always moving forward, and Canada is certainly no exception. A lot has happened here since 1867, and we've achieved a lot in our 151 years of existence. We took this question to Canadians. How do you think Canada will change the most over the next 25 years?
I think Canada will change in a vast way. I think communication, when we look at our cell phones, our computers, I think that we're in for a big change. We've seen that already in the last 10 to 15 years, and it'll increase dramatically over the next period of time.
So will we all be more wired?
I think we'll be all more wired. We seem to be more wired now, but I believe that there will be a continued growth in that area.
Immigration is going to have a big impact on the changes. The other thing is going to have a big impact is the millennials are going to replace, like right now they're replacing all the baby boomers, and that brings the different trend. The technology is going to be sort of the main focus of the generation. So attitudes changes, technological changes, that to me that's the big change.
What I'm hoping for, I don't know if it will change or not, but what I'm hoping for is that
there'll be more opportunities for Indigenous youth coming up. I think that's my biggest concern, is thinking about Indigenous youth. And not only that, my daughter, my daughter's 7 months old, and there's a lot of tension and racism in this province, and there's a lot of opportunity for the education system to be changed and for young people to have an opportunity to learn about the history of Canada, the history of Saskatchewan, the history of Regina even. So yeah, that's my hope, is that, my daughter can walk out one day and not get judged for her skin color.
I don't think it's going to be for the better, to tell you the truth. I think we're in for some tough times ahead. All you have to do is look at the provinces, and that basically tells you what's going on. I mean, once you start squabbling amongst yourselves, it's going to be interesting.
Hopefully that it becomes more environmentally friendly, more diverse, and more accepting of that diversity. Yeah, we have to keep moving forward and not moving backwards, so hopefully we continue with that.
I think that Canada is going to be much more diverse as a country, and I hope that it is. And I also believe that we'll have more women and see more representation, LGBTQ and trans people in higher positions and represented in the media. And hopefully we just are a whole lot better of a country than where we're at now.
Well, I certainly think that we're going to have more population. We're going to be attracting people from all over the world. We're going to have to worry about how our resources are going to be used within our own country, but also for the rest of the world. So the whole issue of how we balance domestic use and trade use.
What was Canada Day called between 1867 and 1982? Confederation Day, Dominion Day, or Union Day?
Confederation Day.
Confederation Day, I think.
Confederation Day.
Union Day.
I think it's Union Day as well. Union Day.
Let's say Confederation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Confederation.
I'm gonna say Dominion Day. Dominion Day.
It's Dominion Day. High five each other for me. That's all for this episode and this season of Outburst. We'll be back in the fall with a new look, new topics, new contributors, and new ways for you to weigh in on the issues that matter to you the most. You can always find us on social media at CPAC_TV, or if you have any comments or segment ideas, you can reach us at outburst@cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of all my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching, and we'll see you right here in September.